Hi boys and girls, and welcome back. Today we are going to be continuing our conversation from class, our introduction today, with solving linear systems of equations with graphing. Alright, so our objective for today is I will be able to solve a system of equations with a graph. Alright, so what is a system of equations? Well, a system of equations is two or more equations joined with a bracket. It means that both or all of them, if there's more than two, equations are presumed to be true. Okay, so here's two examples of what systems of equations will look like. Okay, so here's the bracket right here, and then we have two equations in that bracket. As you can see, that these equations are in slope-intercept form, and these equations are in standard form, and you could even have one of each. So either way, they're still systems of equations. Alright, so our solving system of equations, these are the steps that we are going to take. So step number one, we are going to put the equations in sloped-intercept form or standard form. I'm going to show you an example of both, and you can decide which one you like easier to graph. Alright, number two, we're going to graph each equation on the same coordinate plane. Number three, we're going to locate the point of intersection. And number four, we're going to verify that point makes both equations true. So we're going to check our work. Alright, so number one, we are going to be talking about slope-intercept method. This one should seem very, very familiar because as we were having our conversations about slope, this is exactly the same way as we were having it in slope-intercept form. Just instead of just one slope equation, we are going to be graphing two on the same coordinate plane. So let's take a look. Our first equation, or our first equation in the system of equations is y equals negative 2x. Alright, so remember when we're graphing in slope-intercept form, we're going to look at the y-intercept. Well, remember this y-intercept, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Right? So in this equation, in this case, the plus b is plus 0 because there is no plus b. Alright, so because it's plus 0, that means it's just simply going to go through the origin. So we're going to our first point at the origin, or 0, 0. Okay, then we're going to look at the slope, and we're going to go rise over run. Alright, so since it's a negative, we're going to go down 2 and to the right 1. Okay, down 2 to the right 1, because 2 over 1 is our fraction. And we're going to go up 2 to the left 1 just to make our line. We're not really sure where it's going to intersect, so we might as well make it pretty long right away. And your straight line is going to be so much better than mine because I'm not very fluent with this pen yet, but you're going to make a straight line with a straight edge, way better than mine, down through the lines. Okay, so now let me change my pen color just so we can see it nice and easy. There's no question about which one is which. Alright, so now we're going to look at our second equation, and we have y is equal to x plus 3. Well, in this case, our y-intercept's already there, so we're going to go up 3 on our y-intercept. Okay, this time our slope is just 1. So we are going to start and we're going to go up 1 to the right 1, and we're going to see that if we keep going with this pattern, we're not going to cross this line. So we need to go down. So down to the left, down to the left. Then we can connect those dots again. Right, as you can see, we found a point of intersection. Interception is right there. Right, so we ask ourselves, what is that point? So our point, we go on the y-axis, -1. And up 2. So our solution to this system of equations is -1, 2. Alright, what that simply means is y is equal to -1. I'm sorry, not y. X is equal to -1 and y is equal to 2. Alright, so now let's take a second and check our work. So let's get that magenta back. We're going to check our work and we're going to substitute it in. So remember when we check our work, we need to make sure that, when we plug in the answers, that it is equal. It's an equivalent expression. So x is -1. So -2 times -1, and then y is equal to 2 is equal to 2. Now, we just bring this down. -2 times -1 is 2. Is this the same? Yes, it is. So it works for the first one. So we're doing good with that. Now let's take a look at the second one. Alright, let's plug it in. X is -1. We have plus 3, and y is 2. Alright, so we have 2 is equal to negative 1 plus 3. Remember, when the signs are different, we subtract. So 3 minus 1 is 2. And we keep the sign of the bigger number. So 2 is equal to 2. Since it works for both of these, that means that we have the right answer and that we can move on. Alright, so graphing, this is a good method. Not necessarily always precise, as we will see early, but it's a good method. If you have a graphing calculator or a computer, you can see precisely where it crosses, and it's a good estimation. We can see what quadrant it is and what it might be. But definitely for this example, you can tell exactly where it intersects and exactly what the answer, its solution is. Alright, so let's take a look at the standard form method. Let's take a look at that. All right, so these are already in standard form. Okay, so to graph an equation in standard form, we are going to be making a x and y intercept table. Okay, so essentially what you're doing is you're going to be using these equations to find the x and y intercept, and that's how you're just going to graph it using that way. Okay, some people really like this method and some people not so much. Alright, so I'm just going to highlight this with the green just to know that this is the equation we're working at. Alright, so we have an x and y intercept table. Now the first one that we're going to do is we're going to say, well, when x equals 0, what does y equal? Alright, so we're just going to plug in when x equals 0. So we have 2 times 0 plus y is equal to 2. We're solving for y. So 2 times 0 is 0, so that cancels out, and y is equal to 2. That one's pretty easy. So we're going to plot the point 0, 2. So 0, 2. That is the y-intercept. Okay, now we're going to find when y is equal to 0. So same thing, same equation. 2 times x plus 0 is equal to 2. Alright, so that cancels out. It leaves us with 2x is equal to 2. We've got to isolate the variable. We're going to divide both sides by 2. So we have x is equal to 0. Okay, x is equal to 0. I'm sorry, not x is equal to 0, x is equal to 1. Probably like, Miss Sandwich, what are you talking about? 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, so we have 1, 0. So we're going to plot the point at 0, 1. Or 1, 0. Okay, so we have the x and y intercept, and now we can just simply draw a straight line right through. Okay, do the best you can. This is hard because you don't necessarily know the slope. So just draw a straight line the best you can up through this line. Okay, the best you can. And you can kind of figure out the slope if you go up to, there's the dot right there. If you follow the pattern without actually finding the slope, you can still figure it out. Okay, if there's a pattern, you can usually see. Now let's take a look and do the second equation. Okay, so second equation, we're going to use our purple. We're going to do the same exact thing. So we're going to do a x and y intercept table. So we're going to do 0 there. So 0 minus y is equal to 4. So that's negative y is equal to 4. Then when you multiply both sides by negative 1, okay, you have y is equal to 4. Y is equal to 4. And then same thing, we want to find what is x when y is equal to 0. So you have x minus 0 is equal to 4, and that just leaves us with x is equal to 4. Okay, so we're going to plot these points. So we go up 4 for the y-intercept. I'm sorry, negative 4. So it should be down. And then we have over 4 for that one. There we go. So when we connect our dots, we are seeing right there is where it connects. Okay, there's our intersection. So we see that it's at 2, negative 2. Okay, now take a second and check your work. Check it, please. Take a second and check it. At 2, negative 2. Check to make sure that we did it right. Okay, some of you are really going to like the standard form better than the other way, and some of you might just like to do the slope intercept. Whatever you choose, just make sure you just stick with it. this one's already in this form, so you might just want to stay with it. Or you could have changed it into slope-intercept form and graph it that way. So now we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of the 2 questions, I want you to try this on your own. I'm not going to give you the answer, and this is what we're going to go over in class tomorrow. So please try this one on your own, whatever way that you want. Graph the 2 equations and tell me what the solution is. So pause this video and find the solution. Alright, and as always, instead of the 2 questions that I'm making mandatory, I'm asking you that if you have any questions, write it down. But if you're good to go, then you don't have to write down any questions. So I hope that this makes sense, and thank you so much for actively listening. Come with good questions to class, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.